Mum would have been so happy to see everybody here. Many of you she hasn't seen for a long time, but I know that she is very aware of the presence of all these people who love her. I was going to light a candle, but I'm going to symbolically light a candle. The dedication of a light, which is a prayer of Dad's. I kindle this little light on the earth plane. I dedicate it to the service of the Spirit. I guard and cherish this flame as a living symbol and an act of faith in the reality of the powers of light. May the beings from higher worlds see this flame and kindle its counterpart on the ethereal plane. May this ethereal light be a channel for the inflow of the healing powers of the Spirit. It's hard to be sad about Mum's passing, although we'll miss her terribly. There's always something very strange about Mum and Dad not being in the same physical space. And now I feel them so together. And every time I visualize Mum, I see her as she was, always dressed beautifully and matching earrings and all the shoes, like hundreds of shoes. And that's how I visualize her now, with all her beautiful coloured clothes. And Mum, she would have been 89 on the 27th of December of 2012. It's a pretty good length of life. And most of her life she truly lived to the full. She had some incredible adventures. She was born in 1924, and actually Frank, who sadly couldn't be here because of the distance and various other reasons, but he was very fond of Mum, and also the children sadly can't be here, but they're all with us in spirit. But he did send some little notes about what was happening in 1924, which is a very, very different time to the one that Mum departed this world from. The Prime Minister was Stanley Baldwin. The King was George V, who was the father of George VI, who's now famous for the movie of George VI, who had the stammer. Oh, this is very frank. 1924 was the MG car company came into being. That's his contribution. And also the Brough Superior motorcycle, on which became famous because T.E. Lawrence, Lawrence of Arabia, who actually Mum loved that film. That's the one who unfortunately he met his demise on. Crystal Palace was in its heyday, and some of Mum's real loves, music-wise, were around at that time. There was Ivor Novello, some funny men like George Formby and Stanley Holloway. And Mum, especially in her later years, had so much comfort in remembering all the fun she had growing up in Nottingham. She came from a very, very close and loving family. They were very connected to the Methodist Church, and their whole lives were revolved around the church. Mum was the baby of 4, and sadly 2 of her sisters have not been around for a long time. But her brother, Uncle Jack, is here, and she would have been so happy that he's here. She not a day went by that she didn't look at his picture and say, "Oh, bless him." Family was very important to Mum. It was her reason for living. Her own family in Nottingham, and then her husband and her 2 children. And she followed her husband, who travelled for his job. She followed him into some incredible places, having lived the first 32 years of her life in one place in Nottingham, she suddenly had to go to Africa, and we lived for 3 years in Nairobi. And the incredible thing about Mum was how she adapted and adjusted wherever she went. And people who knew her in the later years maybe didn't have such an inkling of that. But she was incredible. Everywhere she lived, like in the middle of the South Atlantic on Ascension Island, wherever she lived, she always made friends with all the local people. She always had, some project, like when she was on Ascension, there was food only being flown in once a month. And Mum used to make bread and swap it with people for other things, the kind of thing that we're trying to do now maybe more in society. She was growing all her own vegetables. She was teaching yoga. The yoga teacher left. Mum said, I'll step in. So she had an incredible life. And she was the best mum anyone could have had. Both our parents. And Rob and I were incredibly blessed because we could not have had a more unconditional and beautiful mother who truly did love us for who we are. I've written something here that I wrote quite a long time ago. Mum and Dad created the perfect container within which we could grow in safety and love. Thank you so much, Elise and John. This doesn't disappear when someone dies, it just changes. It is at first the home, the physical presence. But when that is gone, the framework will still be there, present in every cell of our bodies, and passed on to our children and their children.
As Carol mentioned, in her later years, Mum was always thinking back to her past in the Methodist Church and when she was very young. And I know people tend to do that when they get older, think of their young days, but I think that was a very important time for Mum. And she was always, whenever she knew it was, whenever we told her it was Sunday, she would say, that was my busiest day. Church in the morning, Sunday school in the afternoon, church in the evening. And she was always remembering her sisters, Kathleen and Vera, singing duets in church and saying, one sang soprano, one sang contralto. These were the things that Mum said, very frequently when she was in bed and felt safe and comfortable. And she often used to sing hymns when she was lying in bed, and the one that she used to sing most was Yes, Jesus Loves Me. So we're going to sing that now. Jan,
We didn't sing all the verses, but
No.
we thought we'd give them an extra bonus and sing all the verses.
But she sings a lot. So.
Even when she wasn't feeling very good, we'd suddenly hear her singing this from her bedroom.
So,
Music?
Tells me so. Little ones to him belong. They are weak, but he is strong. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so. Jesus loves me, he who died. Heaven's gate to open wide. He will wash away my sin. Let his little child come in. Yes, Jesus Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Bible tells me so. Jesus loves me, He will stay close beside me all the way. From His shining throne on high, come to watch me where I lie. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so. Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to Him belong. They are weak, but He is strong. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so.
Sit down. Sorry, Michelle. Juliet has a little prayer that she'd like to say.
The words of this prayer are, the meaning of is, may all beings be happy and free from suffering. And it's a Tibetan Buddhist chant. Om Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Mani Padme Hum.
Jennifer, our cousin, sent a prayer that she'd like to be read out. Just read that.
Tina's very kindly going to read this. Jennifer lives in Botswana, and sadly it wasn't possible for her to come. But she always said that Mum was like her second mum because her Auntie Vera died when she was quite young. So she's really thinking about her very closely. Actually, there was one more thing I wanted to. Sorry, not very professional here. Anne and Colin sent, this time sent a card with a lovely poem here, which I think is very appropriate. Those we love don't go away. They walk beside us every day. Unseen, unheard, but always near. Still loved, still missed, and very dear.
What is dying? I am standing on the seashore. A ship sails in the morning breeze and starts for the ocean. She is an object of beauty, and I stand watching her, till at last she fades on the horizon and someone at my side says, "She's gone." Gone? Where? Gone from my sight. That is all. She's just as large in the mass, hull and spars as she was when I saw her, and just as able to bear her load of living freight to its destination. The diminished size and the total loss of sight is in me, not her, and just at that moment when someone at my side says, "She's gone," there are others who are watching her coming, and other voices take up a glad shout. There she comes, and that is dying. Take a few minutes to say your own private prayers for Mum. That would be wonderful.
Richard Tarr, I think,